might not know it, but the moment your life cracked, the moment something broke, disappeared, ended, or fell apart, that was the moment a new version of you began forming in silence. And I want you to take a slow breath right now, because what I'm about to tell you is not comfort. It is truth. A truth whispered by Plato thousands of years ago. A truth meant for souls who are hurting, searching, or quietly trying to understand why life feels so heavy. Plato believed that nothing happens to the soul without meaning. He said that every experience, even the painful ones, carries a hidden lesson, a preparation, a shaping. He wrote, "There is no harm in change if it leads us to light." Let that sink into you for a moment, because maybe, just maybe, the universe has not been punishing you. Maybe it has been removing what can no longer walk with the person you're becoming. Think about the moments you thought were the end. The breakup, the failure, the betrayal, the silence from people you trusted, the opportunities that vanished right when you needed them the most. You thought those moments were punishments. You thought the universe had turned its face away from you. But Plato teaches something radically different, that suffering is not the universe attacking you, it is the universe shaping you. He believed the soul grows through contrast, that without confusion, we wouldn't seek clarity. Without heartbreak, we wouldn't seek truth. Without being lost, we wouldn't begin the journey inward. He wrote, "The beginning is the most important part of the work." And what if your beginning only happened because life pushed you into a darkness that forced you to finally open your inner eyes? Look at your pain again, but this time not as a wound, as an invitation. Because Plato believed that every soul enters the world with a memory of its own greatness, but life covers it with noise, with illusions, with distractions. Pain, he said, shakes the soul awake. It brings you back to yourself. So if you're listening to this from a place of heartbreak, if you feel life is unfair, if you feel abandoned, overlooked, or punished, then hear this. You are being prepared. Prepared for a love that honors you, a path that aligns with you, a peace that stays with you, a strength that becomes part of your nature, a clarity that cannot be taken away again. Plato believed the universe molds the soul the same way a sculptor shapes a statue, by removing what does not belong. He wrote, "The part of the soul that remembers is divine," meaning deep inside you is a memory of what you can become. Pain is simply the universe carving away everything that blocks that memory. You were never meant to stay small. You were never meant to stay where you were hurt. You were never meant to settle for a life beneath your true nature. And maybe the universe had to break something, so your soul could finally break free. But let me take you deeper. Plato believed that the soul chooses growth even when the mind resists. Your mind says, "Why is this happening to me?" But your soul quietly whispers, "Because I asked to evolve." Your mind says, "This loss is destroying me." But your soul says, "This loss is liberating you." Your mind says, "I can't take this anymore." But your soul says, you're becoming someone who can. Because the universe, Plato believed, will never take something from you unless it is preparing to replace it with something truer, something aligned with your inner nature, something you will understand only when you are ready. Nothing you lost was meant for the person you're becoming, not the relationship that left you empty, not the job that drained your soul, not the people who walked away, not the plans that didn't unfold, not the version of you that you outgrew. Plato's message is simple but powerful. Life is not punishing you. Life is transforming you. Life is preparing you to remember who you are. And maybe for the first time, you are finally becoming strong enough to carry the truth your soul has always known. This is only the beginning. In the next part, we will go deeper into how the universe shapes your soul, why your suffering has meaning, and how Plato believed you can rise from any darkness with a new kind of inner clarity. Just breathe. You're not being punished. You are being prepared, beautifully, quietly, and with purpose. There comes a moment in every soul's life when the weight you carry begins to speak louder than the world around you. A moment when your silence becomes heavy. A moment when the universe feels like it is closing its hands around your hope. And it's here, right here, where Plato whispers his most misunderstood truth. Good people do not need laws to act responsibly. Bad people will find a way around them. Why does this matter? Because the universe isn't testing you to break you. It's preparing you to act from strength rather than fear. It is shaping your inner law, your inner clarity, so you no longer live by what hurts you, but by what guides you. Life does not punish you by taking from you. Life prepares you by peeling away everything that is too small for who you are becoming. And maybe that's why the losses feel so personal, because the universe does not make random cuts. It removes exactly what is blocking your growth. A person, a place, a phase of your life, a version of yourself you were never meant to stay inside of. You don't shed those things because you failed. You shed them because you outgrew them. Plato believed that the soul remembers what the mind forgets. He believed that deep inside you is a memory of who you were meant to be, long before life's storms tried to change your shape. So when everything collapses, when people leave, when your confidence cracks, when the world doesn't look like you imagined, the soul recognizes something the mind cannot. This is not ending you. This is guiding you back. Maybe that's why the betrayals felt sharp. Maybe that's why the disappointments came one after another. Not because the universe was punishing you, but because you kept holding on to illusions that were never yours to keep. Plato said, "We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light." The light he speaks of is not the sunshine of happiness. It is the light of truth. The truth about who you are. The truth about what you deserve. The truth about what must change for you to finally rise. But truth is uncomfortable. Truth requires shedding old identities, letting go of old stories, stepping out of the self you built for survival and into the self you were born to become. So the universe does something subtle, something compassionate, something people often misunderstand. It removes what is blocking your light, a relationship that chained your growth, a dream that belonged to an older version of you, a path that led nowhere, a comfort zone that became a cage. At first, it feels like punishment, like abandonment, like the world collapsing around you. But slowly, quietly, if you listen beneath the noise of fear, you'll hear the truth. The universe is not breaking you. It is breaking open the small world you built around yourself. Plato believed that everything the soul experiences is part of a grand remembering, a process through which the soul returns to wisdom it once knew. You are not being punished. You are being reminded of your strength, reminded of your worth, reminded of your deeper purpose, reminded that you were never meant to shrink to fit inside someone else's expectations. Every difficult chapter in your life carries a quiet message. There is a way forward that requires a stronger, clearer, more awake version of you, and the universe will not stop until you meet that version. That's why some doors close no matter how much you push. That's why some people leave no matter how tightly you hold on. That's why some dreams dissolve before they can take shape. Their time is past. Their purpose is complete. Their season has ended. And your soul is ready for something the old life could not offer. Plato taught that the soul moves toward what is good, not what is easy. So when your life suddenly shifts, when everything familiar is stripped away, it's not chaos, it's alignment. The universe isn't punishing you, it's positioning you. It is clearing the path, even if it feels like it's clearing you out. Sometimes the universe prepares you by shaking everything you assumed was solid, so you no longer build your peace on things that can collapse. Sometimes it prepares you by removing people who treat you casually, so you learn to honor yourself deeply. Sometimes it prepares you by breaking your heart, so it can finally break your illusions. And sometimes, the most painful of all, it prepares you by making you walk alone, so you remember the sound of your own soul. Because once you hear that, once you truly hear the quiet voice of who you really are, you cannot be controlled again. You cannot be diminished. You cannot be manipulated. You cannot be owned by anyone's opinion, approval, or rejection. You become untouchable. Plato said, "The soul takes nothing with her to the next world but her education and her character. Not your heartbreak, not your mistakes, not your losses, not your fears, only who you become through them." So maybe the universe has been preparing you all along, preparing you to walk with a softer heart and a stronger spirit, preparing you to see clearly instead of through wounds, preparing you to rise without resentment, preparing you to live without apology. Your suffering did not come to punish you. It came to reveal you. And this is the turning point. This is where the story begins to shift. Not because your circumstances change instantly, but because you do. Your soul is remembering. Your heart is awakening. Your life is rearranging. Your destiny is calling. And the universe is whispering, trust the unfolding. You are being prepared. There comes a moment in every life when you look at the sky and whisper the question you've been carrying for years. Why me? Why this? Why does life feel so heavy? And somewhere, in the silence between your heartbeat and your breath, Plato answers gently, you are becoming, not punished, not abandoned, not broken, becoming. You see, Plato believed that the soul is not shaped in comfort. Comfort protects, but it does not transform. It is friction that polishes. It is loss that awakens. It is confusion that makes you search for truth. It is pain that pulls the curtain back and forces you to see what really matters. Plato says the soul is like a seed. Nothing grows without being buried first. And maybe that's why your life went dark for a while. Not because the universe was against you, but because the universe knew that only in the depths would you find the strength you had never used, the wisdom you had never touched, the courage you had forgotten you carried. Every wound you've ever survived is a doorway. Every ending that shattered you became the beginning that remade you. Plato once said, the soul is strengthened by every trial it endures. Maybe you didn't lose anything. Maybe you were being prepared to carry something bigger, a deeper purpose, a clearer mind, a quieter heart. Think about the moments when everything fell apart. You thought you were breaking, but inside, another part of you was waking up. The part that doesn't settle, the part that doesn't give up, the part that refuses to betray its truth. Plato believed the world outside of us is like a shadow, and every difficult experience pushes us out of those shadows toward the real, unfiltered version of ourselves. So the universe wasn't punishing you when it took people away. It was removing those who could not travel to the next chapter of your growth. It wasn't punishing you when the plan you believed in collapsed. It was redirecting you toward the path that actually belongs to your soul. It wasn't punishing you when your heart broke. It was breaking open so more light could enter. Plato teaches something breathtaking. What you are becoming matters more than what you have been. And maybe the reason everything feels heavy right now is because you are being stretched into someone you have never been before. Someone wiser. Someone calmer. Someone clearer. Someone who knows themselves. Someone who understands love without losing themselves. Someone who carries kindness without carrying everyone's pain. Someone who has learned to walk through darkness without letting the darkness enter them. The universe prepares us quietly, through slow mornings, through small heartbreaks, through people who disappoint us just enough to teach us not to abandon ourselves again. Through moments where everything stands still so we can finally hear the truth inside. Plato believed the soul remembers what it is meant for. You may not see it now. You may not feel it yet. But everything you are going through is polishing the mirror of your soul, so you can finally recognize yourself again. There is nothing wrong with your journey. You're not late. You're not lost. You're not failing. You are in preparation. You are in formation. You are in transformation. And one day soon, you will look back at this season and whisper, "Now I understand." Because everything that felt like punishment was really protection. Everything that felt like loss was really redirection. Everything that felt like darkness was really a doorway to a brighter, truer version of you. The universe is not cruel. It is careful. It is patient. It is wise. And it knows exactly what you are becoming. So breathe. Walk gently. Trust your soul's unfolding. In Plato's quiet message to you, what is yours is never lost. What is meant will always return. And who you are becoming is the greatest reward of all.